Hi, this is Flamenco Today, a series of podcasts
created by Margaret Hova
and my friend José Greco, which will be associated with the Spanish Dance and Flamenco Choreography Competition and will be available on our website, flamenco.com
and grecomusica.com, as well as other podcast platforms.
José Luis is a composer and son of the dancer José Greco.
Margaret is a former dancer and choreographer and the director of the Spanish Dance and Flamenco Choreography Competition.
We wanted to share with English-speaking public conversations with choreographers and dancers.
And also composers and musicians in the Spanish dance genre and the work that they create.
Yes, we would go to rehearsals and pick up a little bit of sounds of the footwork and the positions and
talk to whoever wants to talk to us.
Exactly. Today we had the privilege of talking to Rubén Olmo, the director of the Ballet Nacional de España, who in fact won a prize as a very young choreographer in our certamen, our choreography competition, back in 2003.
And we also spoke to Diego Lozada, guitarist and composer of the Ballet Nacional. We asked Rubén about his artistic role models, his sources of inspiration, his work methods when approaching the creative process.
And we discussed the tradition of the large format Spanish dance companies and the four styles within the all-inclusive genre of Spanish dance, that is, classical, or often called stylized Spanish dance, the regional folk dances like jota, moneda, or Basque dances, the 17th century escuela bolera, and of course, flamenco.
And we saw a rehearsal of Invocación, one of Rubén Olmo's choreographies in the escuela bolera style, danced in slippers and with castanets.
We saw and heard how the rehearsal master, Cristina Visus, demonstrated and explained the exact turnout of a rodatán, the escuela bolera step, or the precise timing of the raising of an arm while playing the castanets.
Then the same piece was rehearsed with the symphonic music of Manuel Bustos. In our conversation with Diego Lozada, we talked about the process of creating with Rubén the tarantos. We'll hear some of the tarantos recorded at a performance at the Teatro Real in Madrid recently. The taranto is perhaps the most soulful of palos or traditional rhythmic structures that are danced in flamenco.
We also talked with Rubén about how the company works, the star system, and the demanding and rigorous training that a Spanish dancer must have. And we'll hear some extracts of the rehearsal and of the performance of the Bella Otero.
Mira, José Greco, no tuve la suerte de conocerlo, pero he tenido gente muy cercana como Matilde Coral.
Look, I didn't have the luck of meeting José Greco, but I have known people very close to him, like Matilde Corral, Farruko, Rafael El Negro. José took them all on tour. The truth is that José directed very well. He had his corps de ballet and then a number of invited artists, and he knew very well how to present each one. Matilde had her solo, but he lit her marvelously, dressed her marvelously. He put her in his ballet and made a major figure of her. This was one of the great things of José Greco. Antonio Gales was a bit more military, in the sense that he saw everything like a painting. Puente Ovejuna is like that. He liked shade and light, like Caravaggio. He had us on stage in costume for 2 hours without moving. Move a little to the right, move a little to the left, and not until the framing was just right with the lighting that should hit you just so he wouldn't stop. The truth is, it was like he was painting. On stage, wonderful. In the end, our backs were destroyed. But let's see. When the curtain was raised, what we saw was a painting.
Vamos a ver, pero es que levantaba el telón y tú veías los cuadros dibujados. Ballet Nacional es importante primero crear el equipo.
In the Ballet Nacional, it's important to first put together your team. It's important to start from there because otherwise things get out of control. The complicated thing about the Ballet Nacional is that there's little margin for error. Or you do it right from the beginning, or the mistake goes with you till the end. It's not like in a private company where you can make and remake. So of course here it's important to be sure of your team, what's needed, and have meetings. And if someone isn't inside or isn't in tune with you, they have to leave the team. They can't stay because they have to go with you till the end.
No puedes mantenerlo porque tiene que ir contigo hasta el final.
We're going to go back to having the orchestras in the pits and that the ballet companies always have their orchestra because now everyone has gone through a hard time. So the orchestras should return to the ballet companies and the orchestra pits. And if we have to adapt to orchestras of 40 musicians, so be it. And that's fine, so long as the Ballet Nacional always has its orchestra.
Que la danza española también era muy reconocida en los ballets de Antonio.
Before, Spanish dance had more recognition. The ballets of Antonio, José Greco, toured with such a large repertoire, mythology of Spanish dance, because they did everything. It was impressive. Now it's true that we've become somewhat fragmented, since flamenco has been named by UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. Stylized Spanish dance and folklore have become isolated. Earlier, Spanish dance was everything, and that, in the end, enriched it all. But now, since everything is separate, even in the conservatories, one branches the degree in Spanish dance, and the other is a degree in flamenco, and from there things have gotten somewhat separated. And it's a bit of a pity, because before everything was more enriched and everything was one. But well, I don't know why we've gotten to where we are, but I think we'll get to the moment where things were before, which for me really worked.
Que realmente para mí funcionaban, que eran los primeros momentos. Ya hemos arreglado, ¿no? Mira, ese taranto que ya bailaba conmigo.
That taranto was already with me. Well, not exactly. But whenever I've danced taranto, it has three structures. The tarantos, the campanas of tarantos, and then the tangos. And then there's a final resolution, which if you want to go back to tarantos, fine. Otherwise you finish with tangos. So it's tarantos, campanas, and tangos. So it was a little bit a tribute to my mentor, Manolo Marin, because the first flamenco rhythm they taught me when I was 8 years old was tarantos. They threw me in there with all the giants. So my own tarantos, some steps, with my memory of Manolo Marin's tarantos, which he taught me.
Entonces, claro, fue el primer paro, a mí me metieron ahí con todos los grandes y ahí.
So it resulted in the memory of my teacher and my own style. So there it could have been problematic. And I said, Diego, in the end, a taranto is a taranto. But look, well, actually, in the end, he worked like a cinematographer. I said, take away sound and put yourself in movement. Imagine the screen. And the music he made was perfect for the tarantos because he took away sound and he captured every arm movement, every gesture, every feeling, and every thought I had. And then we got together and we adjusted a little bit here, a little bit there. But the truth is that on a musical level, Diego got to the essence of what I wanted to say in this dance. It was not a matter of a little embellishment here and there. It was real music.
Cada sentimiento y cada pensamiento que yo hacía. Y después ya nos juntamos y fue pues se arregló un poquito por aquí, un poquito por allí, pero realmente a nivel musical sacó lo que es la esencia al final de lo que yo quería contar, ¿no? Y de eso, no fue una cosa de una falsetita, fue realmente una música.
El coreógrafo elige un palo de flamenco, que puede ser también cualquier otro palo.
The choreographer chooses a flamenco rhythm. Of course, it can be any rhythm, but we're going to talk specifically about flamenco. He chooses a rhythm in which, for example, in this case, a taranto, and he's going to request a music which is very profound, with a lot of character, which is very powerful, which is, of course, the character of a taranto. He then transmits his idea, and from there, I start working.
Entonces, pues, él me transmite su idea y a partir de ahí me pongo a trabajar.
Pero hay flamencos que son, como digo yo, cineastas.
But there are flamencos that are like cinematographers. They're a great fit. They know exactly what you want. Even in improvisations, which at times occurs in the taranto, you're going and feeling at home. I feel he's with me. That I go one way, I make a turn, and he's already there. Vroom. You know, he tells the story with me. Or I touch my head and he plays an arpeggio like he's catching my dreaminess. That vitality that he gives me in that moment, he gives me the freedom to express myself because I know that the one at my side is living this with me. And that makes me grow. In the end, he makes me grow because I'm not boxed in rigidly. I know I have the structure, and if I break structure, I know he's there with me.
Sino que sé que tengo la estructura y que si me salgo de la estructura está conmigo.
En concreto,
besides, in these cases specifically, it's like the liberation of your soul, which fuses with the other's soul. That's what it feels like to me. I let myself, I feel him. I feel him and he's inside me, and what's in me fuses with what's his. It's like something spiritual, something beautiful and powerful, and that experience is unique.
Y esa experiencia es única.
Sí.
verdad que hay unos códigos.
It's true that there are some traditional norms, but those norms aren't necessarily classified. You live these norms since you're a child. In the end, we know what the norms are in flamenco, which allows you to improvise. We all know how to follow those norms, but they're not so classified as, well, some are, yes, the llamada, or call, the bulerías, but actually, there are actually two types of norms, the norm of structure and that of improvising, like in jazz.
Y es verdad que el jazz se permite también eso.
Me viene persiguiendo y busca pelea. Me viene persiguiendo. Busca pelea.
Y hay una cosa también que es del flamenco que me gusta mucho y que no son palabras mías, pero que creo que siempre que se lo he escuchado lo he visto.
And there's something about flamenco I like very much. And they're not my words, but I think that every time I've heard them, I've repeated them. Matilde Coral said that flamenco has wet its feet in all puddles. It's never had, it doesn't have any complexes, and that's why it's grown so much. Flamenco has mutated with jazz music, with blues, gospel, classical, contemporary. Flamenco has never had any complexes because it's so rich in rhythm. That's why it's grown so much. It's not a music that has any complexes, no fear. It's above all that. I think that that's why in the music and the dance it's become universal. It's become universal for that reason.
Se ha hecho al final universal, y se ha hecho universal por eso. Tenemos un ballet que tenemos algunas estrellas importantes dentro ya del ballet.
We have a company in which there are some important stars, but what happens? We have to give them their moment, like with Aida Gomez, Maribel Gallardo, Lola Greco. The direction has to put itself in second place and put those artists up front, not only within the company, but also important collaborations with outside orchestras, sending our invited soloists out in the world to Covent Garden, to the Metropolitan, because that's what in the end gives them a name. Because the Ballet Nacional's name is so big, it overshadows the first dancers. But if you take them out of the context of the Ballet Nacional and give them space, for instance, we sent Inma Salomon, who did a marvelous Electra, and then she goes to the Metropolitan to collaborate with the orchestra, and it will be Inma Salomon of the Ballet Nacional. Then she starts getting a name. She's a great artist.
Y Inma Salomón se va al Metropolitan a colaborar con la orquesta, pues será Inma Salomón, primera bailarina del Ballet Nacional de España. Entonces ya va cogiendo su nombre y es una gran figura. hecho toda esa parte de danza española, el flamenco. Ella estuvo en el Ballet Flamenco de Andalucía de solista.
With me, she did
Entonces,
the whole
claro,
of Spanish
Patricia
dance and
me conoce
flamenco.
también
She was a soloist
como
with the Ballet
intérprete, y
Flamenco
yo
of
a ella,
Andalucía.
que
So,
yo,
of course,
claro,
Patricia
la
knows me so
miraba,
well
ella
as
me
an
miraba y yo
interpreter,
decía,
and I
mira,
know her.
pum, pum, le
And she would
hacía
look
el
at me, and I
paso
would look at her,
y
and
le
she would do the
dejaba que
step,
ella sacara
and I'd let her show her soul, her
alma
interpreter soul,
de
because I
de
knew how
intérprete,
far that could go.
porque yo ya
So I let
sabía
her,
a
to a
dónde
certain
iba a llegar
extent,
a
make
eso.
her own choreography,
Entonces,
because in the
dejaba que
end, it's the
enriqueciera un
interpreter
poco la
who has to defend it
coreografía
on
la
stage.
propia artista,
And
que al
so,
final es la que
if
lo
she
tiene que
feels good,
defender
and I found what I'm
en
looking
escena.
for,
Entonces, si
for
ella se
me,
encuentra
that's the
bien
most.
y yo encuentro lo que quiero, para mí eso es lo más... La pirámide para mí es importante porque tiene un cuerpo de baile, tiene que tener la ilusión de ser solista, un solista tiene que tener la ilusión de ser primer bailarín, pero a nivel humano para mí es lo mismo, totalmente.
The pyramid structure for me is important. The corps de ballet member has to have the ambition to become a soloist. The soloist has to have the ambition to become a first dancer. But on a human level, it's all the same for me, totally. But it's true that today's generations, besides being a bit lost because all those companies no longer exist, private companies can't survive economically, so those dancers have had to reinvent themselves to be able to do something. The projects that are being proposed, there are no private companies, not even of small formats. There are solos, duos, which we'll probably see in the certamen, solos, duos, trios, but they have no other choice right now. And on top of that, well, before we had Antología de la Zarzuela, Antonio Gades, Antonio Canales when he had his company, Joaquín Cortés, Sara Varas was another one. There was a lot. We also try to maintain our own company, but it's almost impossible. So dancers have found that instead of passing through a company's corps de ballet, they go straight into making their own projects. Otherwise, they'll have nowhere to dance.
Pero es que es imposible, imposible. Y se han encontrado a que tienen que directamente no pasar por un cuerpo de baile y hacer sus propios proyectos, porque si no es que no bailan, no tienen su sitio. Yo siempre los invito a que vengan al teatro a ver al Ballet Nacional de España. Yo creo que es el ejemplo ahora mismo más potente, ¿no?
I would invite them to come to see the Ballet Nacional de España. I think that it's the most powerful example right now. It's a unique dance company in the world. There's none other like it. What can I say? I'm the director. The dancers are the most prepared there are these days. They have a high level of classical ballet, at the same level as a company of classical ballet. They're prepared in contemporary dance. They command all the registers of Spanish dance. They dance in slippers while they play an instrument with their hands. That when ballet dancers see that, they're fascinated. When Tamara Rojo came and saw how they danced Antonio's Puerta Tierra, she was bowled over. And the Russian ballet as well, the Mariinsky, all of them amazed. It's just that it's a unique company in the world. I encourage people to come to see the Ballet Nacional because they'll fall in love with Spanish dance for the rest of their lives.
Se enamorarán de la danza española, pero para toda la vida.
I agree wholeheartedly. If you see well done Spanish dance, it will enamor you for a lifetime. As it did with me, I came to Spain when I was 23 years old to pursue a dream and a career in Spanish dance, and here I am today, more than 40 years later.
Well, I understand you perfectly, Olga. And at the rehearsal, with the whole company dancing and rehearsing their castanets, and when they did the number with the same number with the music, I was overwhelmed with emotion. And it was a really stunning experience for me because I hadn't been in a dance rehearsal for many years, and it was just wonderful. So I enjoyed the experience tremendously.
Did it take you back to a moment of your youth?
I think so, probably. I mean, even though I didn't think about that, but I'm sure that having danced for many years with my father in his company, well, it certainly had something to do with the emotion that I felt, yeah.
And today, your career has taken you so far away from that because you're a contemporary composer and don't really work in the Spanish dance idiom anymore, do you?
Well, I've written some music for Spanish dance. I mean, I wrote music for the Ballet Nacional.
I know, but in recent years you've been more
into far from that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, it was a beautiful day. We left exhilarated, didn't we?
Yes.
So exciting to see the rehearsal and the conversation. And here we are now, José Luis and I, editing. We've been working all afternoon. We're having a glass of wine, and
what about the end of the afternoon with the end of the interview with him? The little gift he gave us.
He gave us a. I asked him, and this will be our signature despedida, goodbye, with all the choreographers that we interview and converse with. If they will create for us just a couple of compasses, a couple of phrases of footwork, and maybe castanets or palmas or pitos as a special little gift for our podcast. Okay, nice.
Vale, ya está.
Why?